Good day to each and one of you. We are Group 3 and we are right in front of your screens today to discuss about academic writing, documented essays, writing as a concept, and writing as a process. But before that, let's break the ice with some introductory mini games that we have provided to give you some insights on what will be the topic that will be discussed. Next slide, please.
Okay, in this game, you just have to arrange properly the letters. Next slide. For the first item, what do you think is this, Miss Jana?
I think the answer is academic writing.
You got it correctly, Miss Jana. For the next item, next slide, please. Can you please arrange it, Miss Leandrea?
Documented essay.
Okay, you've got the correct answer. For the third item, next slide. Do you think you can arrange it, Miss Kim?
I believe the answer is writing as a process.
Nice one, you've got it correctly. And for the last item, which is this, what do you think is the answer, Mr. Aldrin?
I do believe it's writing about concept.
Next slide. You've got it correctly, Mr. Aldrin. Thank you for your answers. That was a great participation. Next slide. Next. And now for the topic outline, we have academic writing, documented essay, writing as a process, and lastly, writing about concept. Let's first have Mr. Aldrin and Miss Ara to discuss about academic writing.
What is academic writing? Based on the definition on screen, it is a clear, concise, focused, structured, and backed up by evidence. So, meaning academic writing is a type of writing which you based on evidences that have been provided and have been proven. This does not include any subjective matters such as opinions, emotions, or feelings. This is what sets it apart from your typical essay, and this is why academic writing is very objective when it comes to writing. Next slide, please.
So let's look now in details at the feature of academic writing. There are 7 different features that we will look at academic writing. Should be structured, evidence, critical, precise, balanced, objective, and formal. So let's begin by looking at structured. Academic writing should have a clear structure for the reader to easily follow the main ideas or arguments. Structure often derives from the genre of writing. For example, reports will usually begin with an introduction, followed by a method section, a result section, and a discussion section. An essay, on the other hand, will have an introduction, including a thesis statement, and will be divided up into body parts, each of which should have a topic sentences, and it will finish with a conclusion. A summary, these are the most common genre of academic writing. But there are also many others. For example, literature review, dissertation, research proposal, and so on. Each of which has a different kind of structure. Being well structured also means that the writing should be coherent. In other words, there should be a logical progression of ideas. And it should be cohesive. In other words, the different parts are connected. For example, using reference words, transitional signals. Well-structured writing also needs a clear focus, That means you need to understand very clearly what you are writing about and why. It also needs careful planning before writing. In some ways, you can think of academic writing as being like a house. The door is the introduction that leads in, and each room is like a different section or different paragraph which serves another purpose. Now, if you were building a house, you will not just start building. You will plan it very carefully first, and the same is true for academic writing. Without careful planning, it won't have an evidence structure, and it will be complicated for the reader to follow the ideas. So the second feature of academic writing is evidence. This means opinions and arguments in academic writing should be supported by evidence. In other words, facts, reasons, examples, statistics, and citations. So next feature is critical. So academic writing does not simply describe the information that should be analyzed and evaluated. In other words, the writer should make judgments about it before it used. And sometimes, in making those judgments, you may decide not to use the information at all. In order to be able to write critically, you really need to understand that not everything we read in books, magazine, brochure, news, social media is correct or accurate. So we need to be more critical. Next is academic writing. Should be balanced. This means that academic writing should consider all sides of the issue of avoid being biased. Additionally, an academic writer should show how strong their claims are, and this is often done using hedges or boosters. We don't need to let our emotions guide our thoughts. We need to be balanced in weighing specific points from each side of the argument. In academic writing, we should be judgmental in a fair way. Next reporter, please.
Moving forward, precise. In academic writing, you need to be precise when you use information, dates, and figures. This means that when you're writing about um, other information, you need to be precise on what they're talking about, such as writing numbers, for example. You don't write the several, few, or other terms that includes in usual essays. Instead, you write the exact numbers that make percent exactly the numbers that need to be cited in order to be precise. This also includes the dates of historical figures that are being cited in the paper, um, and any other information that proven for any other studies. Next slide, please. Objective. Academic writing is objective in other words. The emphasis is placed on the argument and information rather than the writer. So just like I said earlier, objective, this is what sets academic writing from your typical essay. Because your typical essay is sometimes subjective, and which means that it is based on your personal opinions. And in academic writing, that is not the case. Being objective in academic writing is a must, and it is the reason why it is different from your essay. Academic writing because it uses words and emphasizes arguments that have been proven via concrete and solid evidence that have been claimed or that have been claimed by other sources to be true. Next slide, please. Formal. Academic writing is generally quite formal, objective, and technical. This is the last element of academic writing because being formal in academic writing is a key because it's an academic paper. You, you typically use formal language instead of the usual slang or street language that many they're accustomed to, and you use formal terms in academic writing, even jargon sometimes, but you need to explain them properly in order for your readers to understand what's written on the essay. Thank you.